I don't know if you want to actually this. Jermaine Dupri, when he talked about Emcees, they're only talking about their vaginas because I hate that P word. And you being a MC, what do you feel about that?
I think he needed to have Googled before he said that. There are so many MCs out there that do more. There's so much variety now. I said a few months ago, I'm so happy with the state of female rap right now. Everyone from Tierra Whack and Rhapsody.
Incredible.
And Rhapsody been doing this. All the way through to Chameleon and Megan Thee Stallion. Like, man, are you serious, fam?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? I love you, Jermaine Dupri, you're a legend, but this is crazy.
What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party.
What's up, party people? It's Talib Kweli. You are now tuned in to the People's Party. Welcome back to the People's Party. Once again, we have the lovely and talented and the wonderful Jasmin Leigh in the place to be. People, give it up.
What's up?
What's up, Jasmin? How you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing today.
Now, today is a special episode, and you get to practice your Cockney accent.
What, my Elizabeth from Manchester?
I don't know if that's right, but we're going to find out because today's guest is from the UK. She's a friend of mine, a singer, a songwriter, a performer, a super MC. She is the author and the producer and the creator of several critically acclaimed albums. Your children might know her as Garnet in Steve's Universe. We know her as Estelle. Give it up for Estelle and the place to be.
Yeah!
What's up, Estelle? How are you? Good to see you. That's a wonderful jacket. Look at that.
I'm loving the back print.
You know what I'm saying? How you doing?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming to join us at the People's Party.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I called you a super MC because, and I want to get this right because we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think the world thinks of you as a singer.
Yeah.
But I think of you as an MC.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I feel like when I read Jay-Z's book, I've said this before, he talks about how everything he has started with putting that pen to paper and writing them rhymes.
100%.
And being an MC.
100%.
So do you push back at all when people just think of you as a singer and don't add the MC part?
Absolutely.
Okay, word up.
100%. Like it's how I actually write my songs. So it's
Like a rapper.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like makes them catchy. Like we were writing the most popular record that everyone knows, American Boy. We wrote that like a rap. It was
Right.
like, yo, just write the black rhymes.
Right.
You know? And I wrote that with John Legend. He first discovered me as an MC. You know, so that was.
Well, I feel like you discovered him.
This is true. What? This is also true.
I mean, not discovered. She ain't put him on.
Well, it went the other way around.
Yeah.
You know, I heard his voice and I really liked him off of the mixtapes, and our connection wasn't off of him coming and saying, "Oh, look, there she is." It was more like I'd heard him. I was here, right place, right time, and I wanted to work with him, and I put it out there.
Right.
As a lot of my really great scenarios have happened, I put it out there. I really want to do this.
Well, you created them. You ran up on Kanye in a restaurant.
Pretty much.
All right. Do you remember the name of the restaurant?
Roscoe's.
Roscoe's.
I was in
Roscoe's
LA.
Chicken and Waffles.
Right on Gower. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about
is
that. Okay, so I'm going to give you a backstory, right? This is my friend Jasmin Leigh. She hosts the show with me, right?
How you feeling?
AKA Elizabeth.
And she's been developing, she's a comedian.
Okay.
And she's been developing this British character, Elizabeth, but she's ran into some people who told her that her she ran into some white people from the UK who told her she sounded more Cockney.
He said I was Cockney, and I was like, what does that mean?
I don't know if that's Cockney even.
Yeah, I don't know either, which is why I'm glad you're here, so we can clear this up.
But what, can you tell I'm from Manchester?
Not Manchester either.
No, where should I say I'm from?
But this is the question I have. As Americans, I feel like people from the UK can do American accents very good because
Pretty well.
y'all invented English.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like we do it on some like funny style shit because it just sounds fancy and frilly to us with our limited knowledge. Is it offensive when people do that?
It's not offensive, except for when people like say silly things like, "Oh, I'm taking a piss."
Oh my God.
And then
He's saying I'm taking a piss
That is my
all
phrase
day.
that I've been working on.
don't say that. That's when you start getting offensive. Like, all right, there's other words. Come on
Right.
now. And then it's like when people doing it like, oh, and no. It's like, okay, that's Canadian. That's like they go up.
Oh
Right.
no.
We don't.
And then that's
necessarily do
Australian.
that. Right. Dude.
I practice. I go to different stores and I'll do my accent. And people, like I went to H&M
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, And they really thought I was from London. So I was like,
Wow.
I was like, hello.
I mean, if they thought you were from London, then you're good. You're good. You're
and then
good.
he mimicked me, and I was like, oh, you're mimicking me. And he got so offended. And he followed me around the store and was like, I'm so sorry, I love your accent. And I was like, oh, thank you.
This is amazing. Because it's like she's on the way there, and then it'll just be like, that's not British. Stop it.
No, she sound
I need to practice a little
she
more.
sound like Moni Love. Because
Yeah.
Moni's born, she still got the accent, but she been living in the States so long.
Yeah.
And Moni been living not just in New York or LA.
She been Philly.
She been in the States.
That's gonna be my new story.
So when you follow Moni on Instagram, she slide into some like
In and out.
countrified slang and then go back into her London thing.
This is crazy. People have been out here telling me that I've lost my accent. I'm like, first of all,
No,
like you just
People
thought
in the UK tell you that.
both sides. They're
Oh.
like, but you don't sound English. And I'm like, what does English sound like to you, right? And then they're like, like Amy Winehouse. I'm like, first of all, love her. That's my girl.
Right.
Second of all, I never spoke like that. I never was super hard North London or East London Cockney. I'm from West. First of all, it's like saying it's New York versus Philly versus DC and Baltimore. It's like different slangs with it, So like. That's not ever how I sounded.
Right.
Second of all, travel a little bit. Third of all, so
Right.
I don't get offended anymore more than I just be like, oh, okay.
Okay. So both of us are from New York, and New York is very similar to London in that the Afro-Caribbean connection is very strong in our inner cities and in our hoods.
100%.
And I feel like obviously as a musician that's influenced you, you magically are able to do any genre of black music.
Magically.
Very efficiently. Well, it's black girl magic, I guess.
It's true.
Which is actually just science, right?
It is.
But speak on growing up with like Senegalese, Grenadian household parents, and how that influences your sound, because in this era, you're living in America. You see what's going on with immigration, and you see what's going on even in black communities. I'm sure you do.
Yes.
Where people are trying to cause division between African black people, Caribbean black people, American black people from the UK.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that?
Oh, I got so many things to say about that. I grew up West Indian and African, for all intents and purposes African. My mom raised us. My stepdad was around since I was about 4. My mom never wanted to discount my actual dad's origin, which is Grenadian. My stepdad happened to be Grenadian too, so I got to know the culture, right? But I was raised African. My grandma and them had us down, aunties, all of them, uncles, whatever, right? So I call myself African, but I know the culture so well. As I get older, I know all the other cultures so well. As I get older, my mom starts like really making sure we understand the West Indian side. So we go stay with my stepdad's mom, and she would make sure we knew about the roti and fish and and all the food and all the culture, right? So I started to feel part of the whole diaspora type of thing. But then I'm in London, and I'm English too, to a degree, So I come here, and I'm, we've known each other for a very long time. As I started emceeing, one of my greatest mentors and the person that I kind of respect the most, who I used to listen to and follow them as an MC in the UK, is a guy called Rodney P.
Yeah, shout out to Rodney.
Rodney P. And Rodney P.
Classic.
Yeah, he was in a group called London Posse, and they were essentially Jamaican MCs, reggae MCs who rapped, right, in English accent, and just had, used dancehall as their bass, like the slang and the way they used to move. And so I would listen to the way he rapped, and I would just formulate my lyrics over that. So to me, the evolution of my music on that side of it, that's all it comes from, reggae, from dancehall, from that bass, from African music, from all of that. Coming here, it was kind of like, well, fit into one of these boxes. And I was like, can I curse?
Yes, you can.
Oh yeah, fuck
You can
all of
do
that.
it.
I'm not, like,
oh my
I'm
God,
not.
you can't curse on here.
So I was like, fuck all of that. I'm
Right.
just going to do what I did. This got me here. I don't know you people like that. I'm just going to do what I do. And I did that. American Boy was me doing my best English version of events as far as a ditzy woman singing. I said I patterned it after one of the women on Heidi High, which is an old school English show. And she would just be super ditzy and sing and talk like this in the show. And so they were like, yo, make it feel light. And I was like, all right. So I stood in the room and I went into that character and I sang American Boy, right? And so to me, like, all those things are part of me. So being here now, watching, 10 years or 12 years after that, watching everybody try to redivide everybody and push everyone apart. I think what I did with this album, Lovers Rock, was my unknowingly, I just said, fuck all of that again. We're going to push everything back together.
Yeah.
We're going to pull everything. We just did the Essence Fest. And my whole spirit and energy for that show was like, I know what they're saying. This is about time, and I don't think it's a mistake that we're here right now doing this show with soca artists, reggae artists, American artists, hip hop artists, and we're all here and we're all doing this music together, and we're standing in here and we're sweating and we're having a good time, and we're one. Don't let no one push. Don't let no one do that to us. I'm personally passionate about that because I've experienced it from everybody. I've gotten it from who do you think you are to you're not really black, or you're not really American, or and I'm not, but you're not really English, you're not really African, you're not really West Indian, but I've had West Indians come up to me like try to test me, and I'm just like, first of all, I start clapping, it's a problem.
Yes.
But and it's just very much like, there's so much against us. I always pull it back to the point when I was like 7 or 8 at school, right? And my mom says to me, I went from school and this girl was like going in on me. You black, you this, you that. You African, you this, you that. And she was mixed race, right? Half black, half white. And my mom said to me, you go back and tell her if the NF, which is our Ku Klux Klan, the NF is running after any of you at school, they come chase you down the street from school, guess who they're running after? All of you. So you're all black. Tell her that. So I went to school and I told her that. She shut her mouth. She never bothered me for the rest of the time.
Right.
In her, so to me, I always go back to that analogy. Look, if someone who doesn't like you, or if an entity that don't like you is coming for you, there's no version of shade to it. It's all of you.
Right.
So what we find, but what we doing? Like how are we not all saying, yo, let's come together in little things like music?
Yeah.
How we gonna do it if we can't even do that with the music? And the music is the thing that we all listen to.
Yeah.
I think music is the starting point, and that is what brings everybody together. Because look at Afro beats. Like, literally, almost every black person these days are
Not just black
listening
person.
to Afro
Man,
beats.
Right.
I seen them in Croatia. I
Yeah,
saw this thing on
yeah.
Chop Lady in Croatia. These girls was out here giving me all the new dances. I was like, wait, what did you like to watch? What's going on?
Right. They're doing
And I
Zumba
love
classes
it.
to Africa.
Man, listen.
That's true. I love me some Zumba.
I love it.
You
come
spoke
together.
on people not understanding that we are all one. If you're seen as black, whether you're light skinned, dark skinned, mixed,
Doesn't
whatever,
matter.
you are a beautiful black woman. And you have beautiful African features.
Thank you.
And in a Western society, people don't praise these features.
Yeah.
And people don't praise, me and Yassine, we did Brown Skin Lady.
Yeah.
The reason we did that song is because at that time in our career, at that time in hip hop, it was hard to find a hip hop video that had a
Black woman.
All black
a
women,
woman who wasn't like mixed with Asian or something like that.
Yeah.
Can you speak on colorism issues that you may have faced in the industry?
Yeah, this is part of the whole. When I came here, people was telling me I should be, and okay, I think I shout out my mom. She did a really good job raising us. My whole thing is like I don't take on what's not for me. That's not an issue for me personally. That's fine. You can say it. I don't care. Doesn't resonate with me, right? And it never really resonated with me. It never really bothered me when people would say, well, you... So I had one person who said to me, who was a friend, and I had to get rid of that person. He's like, you're a brown girl, you're only going to go but so far and stop. And this is right before American Boy blew up and whatnot, so they're no longer here.
Right.
But, in the middle of it, and all the hype and everything was moving, and my career was moving to another level, I reminded him of what he said, and I said, we stopping, And it was just like, but that's my point. I don't care about what you say. There's no so far and just stop. He didn't even think I was going to get to Grammys.
Wow.
He was kind of just like, yeah, that single might go. And I was just like,
That's deep.
all right.
But that's
it's sorry to cut you, but it's just I don't take it on. I don't absorb it. I don't let it sit in my space. I don't let it sit in my psyche. I see it happening. It does frustrate me when I see other people taking it and making it a thing.
Right.
Because I look at it in the same way, man, that's not for you. That's nothing to do with you. Why you even, don't give that the props. Be a brown-skinned woman, define the fuck out of them words, and give them something to talk about in that aspect. You know what I mean? Like, do that stuff. There's too many of us out here succeeding for that talk.
That's right.
But we
Strength
hear
in
it every
numbers.
week. Yeah.
That's why it's important for us to not have so many divisions between people in the diaspora.
Man.
Because we need the numbers.
Hell yeah.
And we got
And
the
it's,
numbers.
it's there. It's
We
not,
do. It's just about coming together. And you say that you don't touch on stuff because you know it doesn't resonate with you. But how do you respond to that? Because that is a learned behavior that we need to
is.
start having our black brothers and sisters unlearn, because that's a sickness to think that you're not going to go far because you're brown.
I think that we're learning it. I'm at so many different spaces where I see it being unlearned, and I see it just not even resonating for some people. I do Steven Universe, and I play Garnet, and she's made up of two cisgender female gems who are married, and they make Garnet. They fuse and they make Garnet, right? And I didn't know anything about this until I joined the show. Halfway through the show, I was like, "Oh, this is crazy! This is gonna, people are gonna feel so good about this." And I go to cons and I go to these different events and whatnot, and I'm just like, "This is beautiful." We were just at BlurredCon, right? And it was
Where's that, in D.C.?
in DC, and it was so many young black people, all shades, all colors,
Who needed that representation.
who needed that representation. And not even just black people, it's everybody. Because like I said, it comes down to us just being who we are, and people just seeing the example of who they are. So that's what I say, I don't like to go down the lane on it. I'd rather just be like, cool, I'm here though. If you don't feel like you don't see yourself in whatever, I'm here though, and I want people to just stand and be there and like get all that other stuff out of the way. Okay, that's fine. You said all of that, but I'm here though, and I can be here for you. Whatever the decided genders, whatever the sexuality is, I just look at it like love is the base bottom line. Like, and if you stand in that, that's what it should be, and that should be enough to represent everybody. You can find something from that, whether you're gay, straight, whatever you call yourself. You know what I mean? And dark, light, whoever, like, you can stand in that love. Somebody's up there representing you. That's what I try to go towards. All the other stuff is too hard. And it just drags you, makes you feel heavy.
Yeah.
That
cartoon is revolutionary for a lot of reasons. I remember my assistant, Donna, who's also my good friend, she loves cartoons, and I've seen Steven's Universe. I've never sat and watched the episode, but I've seen it on in the background while I was working, and one day I'm watching, I see this black woman character with this afro, and I'm like, what's going on over there? And I turned it up, right? And you and me spoke last year. How long you been doing that character?
6 years.
Right, so I didn't even know it was you. I knew last year. I found out last year was you. But when I saw it, I didn't know it was you. I remember turning it up, be like, whoever does that voice is from the hood for real. That's what I remember thinking. I'm like, yo, they got somebody from the hood to do that character.
Before we even go further, I have to say this. My little sister and my mom love your character so much. They were so excited when I was going to meet you. So I just had to say that before we go further.
Hey, Mom. Hey, sis.
Oh, you just made me the favorite.
It's hella cool.
Speaking of, you talked about Caribbean people testing you.
Yeah.
And I'm from Brooklyn, so I already know how that goes.
You know what that means.
Right.
Like,
so
cultural, though.
Now, Love Is Rock is on VP Records.
Yeah, they were VP.
So VP Records, for me, I'm not as well versed in dancehall and reggae as maybe I should be, being from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But being from Brooklyn, is it possible to get around the impact of VP Records?
Yeah, for sure.
And what it means in reggae, and what it means just for the culture to be a part of that movement. And I remember thinking when I started seeing the press for Lovers Rock, Estelle, VP, I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, knowing what I know about you, I'm like, that makes so much sense. I can see, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
You started out as an MC. I met you at Deal Real. Were you rapping when I met you? Right, so when I met Estelle, she was selling records. I was doing an in-store at the store, and I didn't know she rapped. I don't know if you mentioned it to me, but you had me on your remix for Freedom.
For sure.
When you were first on that first album.
Yeah.
And just take us a bit through your journey of starting as an MC, American boy. Then you're sort of looked at as like a singing diva, and now it's like I'm going back to my roots on VP Records.
Yeah, so I started. Here's the root of it. Like I said, I started as an MC and heavily influenced by reggae and rap. right? Yourself and Mos, Yasin, my bad. That Black Star album felt like dancehall.
Yeah.
Felt like reggae dancehall.
Yeah.
You know, like
it was smothered in dancehall.
yes, that's
Yeah.
the word. Smothered in dancehall. So
Yeah.
we felt it in a different way, you know, and you would come out and perform and it'd just be like a jam, be like a blues,
Yeah.
be like a dance, right? So like we felt that in a different way and I loved it. I was just like, yo, this feels like they're from around here. Like this is crazy. So, you know, obviously you guys come over and we met and we stayed friends. And my first album comes out and I still had the independent headspace about it, and I still to this day, and I'm on my label with VP, which is, you know, another thing that I felt like I needed to continually do, you know, just keep my production, keep my unit together. But I had my label back then, and you know, and everything has just been like an evolving process. What I've tried not to do is separate the character of Estelle from the art. I always want to keep it on the same page.
Absolutely.
You know? And I think that's worked for me as a human, that's worked for me as an artist. I seen people get one way or the other. They go too far into themselves or they go too far into the art. And I just try to keep a middle lane where I can do both. Yeah, balance, because I want to do this. You know, I enjoy doing this. I feel like I'm here doing it for a reason, but I have to live and be a human and evolve. So I keep it to like, all right, so, you know, the first few records were rap. I didn't want to do that for a while no more. I'm still going to write like a rapper, but I'm not going to straight rap because I'm bored. It's not fun anymore. No one's talking about things I care to talk about. Yeah, it's not fun. That was a smooth
That's got to
quote.
be your driving force. You do that when there's no fans around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like rapping to myself and I was like, this is trash. You know, I would look at my raps like, oh, this is terrible. It wasn't fun. Like my people that spurred me on weren't there no more. So I was like, okay, well, where am I going? Where's my spirit taking me kind of vibe? And it was more singing. And John was like, so just sing. You know, sometimes it's the most obvious thing. And then here we are with American Boy.
Right.
And, you know, and it's evolved and I love it. Because then I started looking at myself. Well, I've always looked at myself as a musician, right? But I started really looking at it like, yo, you really are able to do all these things. Why you confine yourself to this?
Box.
Yeah. And you sing all over your rap records. Try a whole singing album, pretty much. You know, and that was all of me. That wasn't even Shine, because Shine had rap all over it too. But all of me was more the singing album. And then True Romance, I was doing more evolving, just trying different sounds. And Lovers Rock was the album that everyone kept asking me to do. That I said, nah, hold on a second, I'm not auntie yet. Now I'm an auntie 7 times over.
These now, baby.
Oh, right. I'm a full auntie. I'm like, boy, it's like 12 nieces and nephews.
Wow.
So,
Aunties are us.
I'm a real auntie. It's crazy.
Right.
But not in that way, but like more like I feel like I get and I could do the music without feeling like, who's this young girl out here trying to sing reggae?
Right.
You know.
So you have that much respect for it. You look at it
Absolutely.
like an OG thing. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna touch that sound, it come with a certain wisdom and experience.
100%. That's exactly it.
I have a question just because, and I don't know if you want to actually this. Jermaine Dupri, when he talked about Emcees, they're only talking about their vaginas, because I hate that P word. And, you know, that's just not true. That's really just like the mainstream people. So you being a, you know, MC, what do you feel about that?
I think he needed to have Googled before he said that. There are so many MCs out there that do more. There's so much variety now. I said a few months ago, I'm so happy with the state of female rap right now. Everyone from Tierra Whack and Rhapsody.
Incredible.
And Rhapsody been doing this. All the way through to Chameleon and Megan Thee Stallion. Like, man, are you serious, fam?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? I love you, Jermaine Dupri, you're a legend, but this is crazy. It's just Google before you talk. It's not all right. Stop. Like, because it almost discounts all of their
The hard work.
and that's
Yeah.
not all right to do that. Like, don't diminish these women because you don't get to hear this, or the one person on top is this person. That's granted. But then you know what you could have said, sir? Hey, there's definitely that, but there's also this. How about you shine a light on them instead of saying they don't exist?
And the question was actually like, who was his favorite MC right now? So he could have just said no one instead of saying no one because, you
Or
know,
he could have
pulling
said,
something out.
or he could have just said, there's these people. I can't decide on one. Not just
Right.
diminish a whole bunch of women who are out here fighting for their spot, you know, against all odds, against that same, bruh, like, you know better. And then the industry side of me goes, now did he just say that to have a piece to be in the conversation this week? Like, you know.
I think that, you know what it is though, it's as you were answering, I'm sort of really figuring out the best way for me to say this, because it's like, you don't want to take away from the fact that I agree with you. I agree that he should have Googled and he should have done more research. But I think what happens is, and I'm not justifying this, I'm just explaining it.
I understand.
People who become successful at this music get into, and I'm sure you know this as well, know people like this. We, all of us, myself included, get into this real privileged space where, because we're successful, we don't always know how to reach out and know what's going on. You know, he described himself as a gatekeeper, which he is. He was like, he did a thing later sort of to apologize.
Right.
To be like, well, I'm going to do this contest. And people, for female MCs, and the way he did it, the way he rolled it out, people got upset at it because they're like, well, that's still tone deaf because, you know, like you're going about it all wrong. And he sees himself as a gatekeeper.
Right.
Now, there's an argument to be made that, yeah, for years, Jermaine Dupri was a gatekeeper. He brought us The Brat, who's an excellent female MC, you know, but just because you brought us The Brat so many years ago don't mean that you know what's going on now. Just because you were a gatekeeper for so many years, and we got to give him respect. There is no Atlanta hip hop without Jermaine Dupri.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's the thing.
But because you were that dude for that many years, you may not know what's exactly who's popping right now.
I agree, but I lightweight disagree because Google and Instagram exists.
Right. You expect him to work harder at it.
Or not
If you're a gatekeeper, your job is to have your ear to the street, or have your peoples have their ear to the street and give you the information.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting here, I sit and I look. You know, I'm not the person that's up there rapping every single day or whatever, but I know what's happening in the UK. I know who the girls are. I'm never going to discount any of the Miss Bankses and, you know, and whoever else that's out there doing it, Steph and Alakai Harley and all of the Bashment. I'm not discounting any of them girls. At the same time, I'm giving Steph London her props. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving all of Little Sims her props. I'm giving all of these girls. Dope, Lady
And
Leisha.
there's so many
You know what I'm saying? Like,
women
there's
MCs
so
right
many.
now.
But I think
give them
we
that,
actually
you know?
agree on what I'm
Yeah,
saying. I'm just
100%.
trying to sort of give people the insight, because I'm not excusing it.
No, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? It's a similar, I'm glad you brought up UK, because let's take it to the UK.
Yeah.
As a rapper from the States, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I go over to the UK, they be like, who do you like from the UK?
Yeah.
You know? Now, back in the day,
You
know, I could be like, I like Sway, I like Estelle, I like Ty and Shorty Blitz.
Yeah.
But that's because that's who was picking me up from the airport, who I was hanging out with. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know.
Right.
If you ask me now, I like Kano. You know what I'm saying? Like, because me and him hung out and had a good time one time.
Right. Stormzy and Giggs, and they're the new guys.
Yeah,
I feel you.
I hear about them because that's what younger people are talking about.
Yeah.
But because I'm a rapper from the States, because hip hop was created in the States, and our privilege in the States is we got the best hip hop we feel, so we don't
don't
got to
have
pay
to.
attention to nobody,
Yeah.
right? So I travel the world more than anybody. I don't have to pay attention to no other country.
Right.
Just a rapper from the States, people are going to come and pay attention to me.
Right.
I don't have to do the homework of knowing, and it's a privilege. I should work at it.
Yeah.
Being a man in a male-dominated space, a male-dominated industry, I don't have to be out here looking for female MCs.
Right.
So if I'm gonna, you know, I have to make it an extra effort to be like, let me take the time out, because the industry and the society is not gonna help me with that.
Absolutely.
It's not gonna put that in my face.
Yeah.
And throughout my career, from working with Jane Doe to Jean Grey to Rhapsody, like I've always tried to have female MCs on my records,
100%.
and even as I say it, like Jean is a good friend of mine, she pushes back against the whole, even why are we even talking about female MCs?
Exactly. I was just about
Why
to
are we
say
even
that. It's
separating it
MC.
like that?
100%.
So, you know what I'm saying? And I agree with her
Yeah.
on that. But because I live in a male-dominated society,
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And that's
It's a
in the
bunch of frustration.
entertainment industry, period. Because, like, even with comedy, it's like if you're on an all-male lineup and then it's a woman, you're like, you're ready for a female comic? And it's like,
You're like,
bro,
oh, okay,
just
because the
say-
jokes won't laugh the same if a woman says
like,
it.
Right.
you're ready for a female? It's like, just bring the next person on stage. And I was at the same show, and they were like, you need some female energy? We got a female MC. It's like, bro, we're going to see that they have a vagina when they get up there. Like...
She said everyone's gonna see it. Look,
Yeah,
it's right here. It's right here.
It's right here.
Titties is here. I don't know what we talking
Your
about.
face.
What you mean? You know, I feel you. It's just. That's why I say, like, to a degree, I was almost like, you're just trying to be part of the conversation this week.
I
You trying
know
to
if
go
you already
viral,
had
fam?
that. Yeah,
Right.
I don't know if you already had that contest in the works, and if he just did that whole thing.
That's
as
the
like
part that
a
had me like,
master,
what you think?
promotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
we were speaking about Jermaine Dupri from Atlanta.
Yeah.
You and I have something else in common. We've both done songs with Gucci Mane.
We have.
That's right.
I love
Gucci
Gucci.
Mane?
So
I
tell
love
us about
Gucci.
doing a song with Gucci.
So this happened. The song with Gucci happened. People don't know. I definitely. I'm for the trap.
Trap music.
For the trap. I'm for the trap. No, I love it.
Did you know the
It's
date
vibes.
that trap music started officially?
August 13th.
Was it 19th?
I think it was
2003.
2003. Is it August
We had
13th?
T.I. on.
Oh,
Dang
okay.
it, I missed the trivia question.
Yeah.
It's August 19th.
He gave us the
2003.
specific date.
Well, how did
He
he
Because-
started
start it?
trap music.
Because
He
his album was
started-
called
And that's
Trap
the-
Music. That's the day his album
Oh,
dropped.
that's right.
2003.
Can we see if it was August 13th or 19th, please? Because I need to know if I won.
That's hilarious.
Anybody? A fact checkers in the back?
Come on.
Somebody got phones. It's Google, fam.
Hey, Siri.
No excuses.
He knows he's the producer of a label. 2013. That's crazy. I'm with it though. T.I. was dope. Well, he
Right.
still is.
But yeah,
that album
Gucci.
was dope. Yeah, Gucci. You know, I have worked. Is it 19th?
It's the 19th.
19th.
Dang it, sorry, T.I.
So I worked on a record with Jerry Wonder. So like in between my albums, I just go and write songs to write songs, right? And I wrote this hook for Jerry, and I had written verses, and I didn't like the verse. I said, just keep the hook. He played it for Gucci Mane, and it's a song called "Finally Free," Grown Ass Man, and he did it, and he released it on the album right before he went back in. I was like, I was so pissed because it was like this the last time. But it was just like, I just saw it. Like, we got the clearance papers, and I was like, I'm on a song with Gucci Mane.
What?
Hey, guys.
Right.
No, because I'm a fan of it. Like,
Right.
people don't know. Like, if you see me out in general, I'm the person you might see in the back just enjoying her life. Like, with my headscarf on in the back of the club, because I need to be and absorb the music, right, as an artist. And I'm I love my trap music.
Yes,
I'm
it's
a
so
big
inspirational.
fan. It is. It makes you. It inspires me to dance. Inspires me to twerk.
To make money.
Inspires me to make. Yes. Inspires me to work out. Like, people don't understand how like motivating like a good like Future, Migos playlist is. My favorite right now is The Baby.
Oh my
Baby.
God,
I
yes,
feel
yeah.
I was late
He
to
got
the
a
party.
mean 1-2 punch right
Don't
there, baby.
he? Don't
He be
he?
knocking niggas out while he be performing.
Wait.
He said literally.
You ain't never seen that?
Literally.
I only saw the dude
He
he,
did?
knocked out in the jewelry store.
No, that was the jewelry store fight. There was another fight where he on stage performing,
he just said,
He
yeah,
punched someone
yeah.
out.
and then he didn't stop performing.
He just kept going.
Yeah, just kept going. I never seen nothing like it in my life.
Oh, he could.
That is talent
Well,
right
I like
there,
his
baby.
music.
Yeah, let's get back to his,
The
his
music
bars.
is great. No, I'm with anyone who is convicted about their vibe. I'm not really with the copies. I'm not really with the. I'm not sure if I'm rapping people. I like, yo, this is real. Like, every single time I hear you on a feature, your stuff is hitting. You know. So like, and there's a lot of trap artists. Like, there's artists across the board. So.
Right. In 2013, you started an independent label.
I did.
I started an independent label around 2011.
I was like, wait, you were before me.
Just a couple years.
Okay.
You know, I feel like I try not to have any regrets. You know, but if is a word that's loaded with a lot of privilege because we can't change how things are, right?
Yeah.
But if I had to go back, I probably would have gone independent a lot earlier.
Yeah.
You know, Get By was a huge Get By is my American boy.
Right.
So I think, what if I went independent around that time?
Right.
You know, I look at artists that I respect, like you know, Killer Mike and LP, or you know, certain people that were just remained independent, and I'm like, I had the privilege and the honor of being on a major label and getting that system behind me for so many years. But how would it have been different for me if I was just independent that whole time?
years.
Do you think about that, and has it been better for you since you've gone independent?
You know, I've worked so hard and so consistently my whole life. There are definitely points when I was like, oh my goodness, can someone else do this for me?
Right.
Like, I'm so tired.
Right.
But at the same time, I know it's the long game, and the ownership game is no joke.
Own is
When
better.
you're in your 50s and your 40s and you can sit down and be like, yeah, let me get my Quincy Jones together and just
Right.
work on music because I like to, not because I have to. you know, and that was partly the decision behind doing it. I saw a lot of my peers getting their life together and, you know, like, and doing these moves, and I was like, hold on, wait, I'm helping you live your life. Let me see if I can't get some of this myself. And I know how to do it. You know, I started independently. Why would I not do it? You know, and it's a different space now. You literally can. There's nothing stopping you from. I'm grateful for the push, and none of my path has been by mistake. I think it's all divinely guided. I'm grateful for it. But yeah, I don't think it was a mistake that I learned I started independent.
Right.
I don't think it was remotely a mistake that I started as an independent, selling my CDs, knowing how to shoot content, knowing how to shoot
You have to these
album
days.
sleeves when I was like 20, you know? Like, I don't think it was a mistake.
Right now, I feel like everyone wants a package deal. Like, they want people that can show that they have engagement on social media, that can get their own music video sent, that they can write their own songs, get their own beats. You got to do everything these days.
100%. And it's tiring. I tell people, like, yo, if you tired now, wait for it.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. When your eyeballs are like, hey,
Right.
hey, chill out.
Yeah.
Let's go to bed.
I think people don't realize that. Well, my opinion is that the easy play is to work for somebody else. And that's not to diss the working class, because I consider myself a working class musician.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's the harder and braver choice to say, I'm not going to take the safety net of somebody making sure that I get a salary or a paycheck.
Right.
And I'm going to take the chance of, you know, I may not make no money this week.
Right. And to that end, it's important to have smart people around you. I'm very, like, my team is small, but they would say we're small, but we thinkers. You know, we work smart as we can. I'm the risk taker. I'm the like, yo, let's shoot for that. And they're like, how we gonna get to that? I'm like, we'll figure it out. Let's get to that. You know, and when we get there, it gets there. Point in example, we had this Essence festival event that we just did. We've been like working on that for almost 6 years. You know, to get to this point, you know, and people looked at it like, this was great, this was amazing. Like, how did y'all? And we're like, 6 years. You know, we shot at that from 6 years ago, and it just hit this year.
They don't see
you know,
all
so
that.
They don't. So sometimes it's the long game, and sometimes it's the we ain't making it this week. Ugh.
I saw a meme the other day, and I posted it. Follow me. It said people who have a boss are always afraid of losing their job. People who are entrepreneurs are afraid of getting a job. And I was like, boy, that is nothing but the truth.
I think about it every day, man. As much as I really, it's nice to have thought and the idea of like, oh, I don't have to worry about. When you think about being with a label, you still have to worry about a certain amount of things. Even in our partnerships with VP and whoever we've done partnerships with, there's a certain amount of ownership that I will never give up, because I know that if I give that up to you, you stand a chance of messing that up. So I have to work. There's no four ways on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're so ambitious. I mean, I think about when I'm hearing you talk about being an owner, and I'm thinking about the fact that you ran up on Kanye, and and you didn't run up on Kanye like, what's up? You ran up on Kanye like, what's up with John Legend?
Yeah.
You know, and then your intention was to get him on a song, right? And then it's like you have this label deal. It's like you really, really manifested this and made this happen.
I tell you, I look at everything, and my friend wrote this one Christmas. She wrote this. She just did and put it in a frame for me. She's like, your life is so divinely guided. It's divinely orchestrated. I wanted to get a tattoo, and I have it here, D.O., right? And it also stands for do something, right? But we came to that conclusion because I was like, who lives my life, bro? Like she was like, no, you don't understand. There's so many things that move. But I look at it like it's a gut instinct. It's like Holy Spirit, spirit energy, whatever, telling me, hey, do this. This is what you're here for. And it doesn't make sense sometimes, but I follow it. And it always pans out better than I can imagine. You know, so I genuinely look at things from that standpoint, and it's worked out so well for my career. I kind of, even when it looks crazy, I still follow it, and it still ends up good. You know? And to me, that's the bottom line. If you believe everything's working out for your good, nothing you do is going to go wrong.
Amen.
You know, nothing. It may look it for 3 minutes, and then you land and you're like, how did that come out of that?
Right.
Yes.
You know? So follow your gut, follow your instinct. If your intentions are good, nothing is going to go wrong. You know, that's been my, trust me, I have to hold on to this week. I have to hold on to this week.
Right.
Nothing is going to go wrong. My intentions for this were great. My intentions are good. I know it, you know. But I really look at things like that, and I don't take it for granted that Ye gave me, you know, the greatest assist there ever could be. But that came via John, and that came via, I'm going to go and talk to your Kanye in this restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel it. I understand. I know John's here somewhere.
Right.
I
Are you a
must.
Libra?
I'm a Capricorn.
What? I was hoping you were part of us. Dang it.
Well, hold on. I'm a Capricorn sun, Cancer rising, and an Aquarius moon.
None of me.
Yeah, I don't know that much about it. I can't even answer that.
You're a
question.
Libra?
I'm a regular
We're
old
both
Libra.
Libras. Yeah.
Do you know what your suns are? Your suns are?
And freaking dang it, I
No,
have
you're
one in
rising?
Virgo. I think my moon or something is in Virgo, and then
Okay.
I have Libra.
My friend explained to me how you look at this, right?
Okay.
So
Next up on astrology today
Right.
is Talib Kweli. Please explain.
right, Libras to get it done, man.
Yes,
you guys,
Yes.
will.
You guys get it done.
We're like immigrants.
Okay.
the job done.
Okay.
Get the job done.
We're like immigrants,
Word.
Get
apparently.
the job done. Shout out to Lin-Manuel.
There you go. There you go.
So I have a question. You worked on Empire.
I did.
Yes, you did. What was your initial reaction to the Jussie Smollett? I don't even know how to say his name because I've
That's
been
how you
hanging out with
say
Dave.
it. No, don't listen to Dave.
not.
That's not.
Jussie Smollett.
Smollett. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
You said it
Smollett.
right.
I only read things on the internet. I didn't know how to say the young man's name.
Oh, young man.
Jussie Smollett. You know, before the arrest and people thinking, oh, well, maybe he's lying to us. Before all that, what was your initial reaction?
I hit him straight away, like, you all right? Because I started getting alerts, like, and everyone was DMing me and texting me, like, yo, did you see this, da-da-da? And I was just like, my first instinct is never to assume or read what's going on Instagram or Twitter. I hit him direct, and I was like, bro, check in, you all right? What's happening? You know, I didn't hear back too much, but then I called his brother, and his brother was like, he's all right, he's okay, he's doing well. And I was like, okay. So then I just took it from that. I don't know the ins and outs.
Right.
There's too many versions of events out there.
Right.
And I don't follow gossip like that.
Right.
You know, so if that's what you feel, that's cool. Till I hear from him directly,
Right.
I'm sitting here with the rest of you like, what? You know? And we could say whatever, we could say this, say that. I literally don't know.
Right.
So and it's too much to think
Because
about.
as of this taping, his story is this really happened.
Oh, he
This-
has to stick with that story. There's no way that he could ever come and say that anything else happened but besides what he's been saying.
There's one way.
The truth?
You
Oh,
ever
sorry,
st-
I didn't mean to
you
say that.
Oh God! He got a mean side of Lee. He got a mean side of Lee, bro. No,
Right. You ever seen what's that movie that Joaquin Phoenix did where he was like pretending he was a rapper for 2 years? And then he was like, I was just playing, y'all. It's just like he's like method acting.
What were
Yeah,
the what were
was
the
it?
character names? The real the characters in the movie? 'Cause I
No, he played him.
played
He's
himself.
himself. He
And isn't the way he had a beard?
he grew a
Like,
beard and he went on Letterman and he's like, I rap now.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, I'm done acting and I rap now.
Yeah.
And he showed up at underground rap battles and put his name, signed his name on. And Casey Affleck filmed this whole thing, right? And then there's a scene in the movie where he's in the airport, I think in London maybe, or somewhere in the UK, and he runs into Mos Def, Yassine Bey,
Yes.
and he's like, yeah, I rap now. And Yassine's like, you do? He's like, can I kick a verse for you?
Oh my God.
And the look on Yassine's face, because apparently nobody knew, just besides, I think only Casey Affleck knew.
That he was messing about.
Right, and so
Wait, then he was
maybe
what messing about? I'm gonna take that.
Jussie is auditioning for a role as like a superhero.
That could be. That could
And he's
be
like
one.
trying to play
Method
it.
acting,
He's
yeah.
doing like
Let's
there's
just
a really
add-
deep like Joaquin Phoenix sort of.
Let's just add to the theories right now, because at this point, who knows? I will say that I do know him. He's a very good human being, and that's all I have to go
everything
on,
I've ever
you know?
heard about him from people who know him
Yeah.
is that he's a stand-up individual and a
Yeah,
good human being,
he is.
which is why I think it makes it so hard because I don't know him at all.
Yeah.
It does seem like he's lying to me, but I know I'm in this business and I
Yeah.
know we're adjacent. We
Yeah.
have similar people,
Yeah, yeah.
and everybody I speak to is like, nah, that kid is a great kid.
Yeah. Who knows, bro? Literally, until he comes out or he says what
He's
he
not gonna
says,
come
or
out, y'all.
who like, or even if he needs to, I don't know. I
It's
don't know
gonna be
that
a
will matter.
tell-all when he dies. That's when we'll find
Yo.
out. Whoever's alive when he leaves,
Jesus.
that's when we'll
Just
find
went
out.
It
right
just got-
down the other end.
I'm not asking
really,
him to.
really-
I want him to live a long, great life. But I'm
No.
just saying, whenever
When he
that
writes
happens,
when he's 75 and he
Yeah,
writes this book,
memoirs.
we'll find out.
there we go.
There you go.
I want to thank you for doing Midnight Hour with me on that Reflection Eternal album.
Thank you.
When I was working with High Tech on that album, he was playing me beats, and I'm listening to beat tapes, and that came up, and it was like a track,
Yeah.
but it had your vocals on it. And I'm like, what's that? He's like, don't listen to that.
We ain't done with that.
That's
yet.
just a song I've been working on with Estelle. That's like her thing. I'm like, no.
He said, no.
No.
No. Hold
That
on a
sounds like
second.
our thing. And, me and him argued about it a little bit. We went back and forth because,
Wow.
that record is like, that record feels like all of black music at once. And I don't know if, we weren't in agreement on whether or not that record felt like it would match the sound
Of the album.
of Reflection Eternal.
Yeah.
But we took a chance on it. We did a video that I enjoyed doing.
Yeah, we loved it.
Great time shooting that video.
I
with you.
made really good friends from that video. Let me tell you. Like, I had a friend who is one of my very good friends now who had seen the video and was like, look at, she's so cute. And like shouted me out on Twitter. And then me and Homegirl became really good people. It's like, and it's just like, from that
Right.
song, like
Right.
from that video, I remember doing it. And I liked it because I wrote it in the intention of how I wrote it is what you did to it. You came on it perfectly and killed it.
It was a challenge.
It was?
It wasn't easy for me to write because it's funny. You say you started writing as an MC.
Yeah,
That's all I've ever done.
yeah.
What I had to challenge myself to do in that song was write like a singer-songwriter.
Wow.
And sort of see myself, because the way that where I placed my bars, I was trying to place what I was doing next to you.
Yeah.
I was trying to do a duet.
Right.
And I was like, you were doing amazing things stylistically.
Yeah.
I always have confidence in myself as a writer.
Yeah.
But I look at what people who can sing and come up with melodies and do certain styles. Like, my style comes from overwriting.
Right.
My rap style comes from having too many words.
Right.
Singer-songwriters have to sort of know where to place the words and where not to place them.
100%.
And I had to challenge myself to sort of fit in the flow that you establish.
Right.
It wasn't an easy thing to do.
Sounded it.
Yeah,
That's why you're
that's the
great.
challenge,
That's
though,
the
right?
art.
But that's why you're great
You put so many hours into it
for this moment.
that when people hear it, it sounds effortless.
Exactly.
You know?
You did great. I thought it was perfect. I was like, oh, there we go. That's what was missing. We good.
No doubt, no doubt.
I loved it. And the video was fun. Like, I got to wear orange eyeshadow.
Yes.
I always wanted to wear orange eyeshadow, guys. You have no idea. It's great.
I got some the
really.
other day.
It's good times.
No doubt.
Taylor didn't he?
He don't care
Orange
about
eye. He
eyeshadow.
doesn't. He
He
gets
doesn't
his
care.
face beat
He's
too,
like,
so it's whatever.
Hey, man, we don't call it getting your face beat. We
Oh,
call it,
sorry.
I got to borrow this. I learned this from Hannibal Buress. It's called wearing player powder.
Player
Oh,
powder?
that's a good
What?
one.
I got to put on my player powder.
Player powder. Oh, I like that.
Player
Okay,
I don't wear
player
makeup.
powder.
I wear player powder.
That's a good one.
All right.
That's a good one. I like
Good
that.
job, Hannibal.
Player powder. All right.
With American Boy,
Yeah.
that's your free bird. Just like how Get By is my free bird. It's like, do you ever get tired of performing that song?
No,
That's a great answer.
never ever.
That's
no.
a great fucking answer.
I pray for songs like this.
That's right.
None
Timeless.
of them. I pray for this. I pray for songs
How
like
blessed are
thank-
we?
we get to do this.
Yeah, that we
you
get to do
know?
this.
Like, look, you talk about the independent period, right? When there's times when it's just like, bruh, woo, ain't no shows this week, and you're in between deals and whatnot. And I remember this super early on. It was 3 years of nothing. 1980, my very first album came out. There was 3 years of nothing. You know. So I literally pray for records like that. Like, I pray for at least one on every album. Like, yo, if there's not 10 of these, give me one, God. One. And so every album, and some I get 2, some I get like 2.5.
Right.
You know? But I pray and I do my best to try and get records like that because I want to do this. I feel like I have something to say. American Boy is a joyful record.
I love that song.
Thank you. It's
I've been
fun.
singing it all night.
It is.
No, it's fun.
It works in every setting. As a DJ, I play
Eddie.
it to this day.
People sing it like it's classic, like it's the first time they heard it. And I'm just out here like, I will never complain. I will never not sing. I will never not support and celebrate and be happy while it's playing. Like that. Yeah, that's a good record.
No
I'm
doubt.
grateful for every minute of that record.
No
I'm
doubt.
grateful for Thank You. I'm grateful for Conqueror. I'm grateful for One Love. I'm grateful for Free. I'm grateful that I can play in any of these arenas with any of these records, and people love it, and they go back to a point where they're like, I remember where I was.
Yes.
I'm just like, I know.
I was in college
Right.
for
Me
that one too.
too. You know,
Right.
I was in Miami. It was great. I'm grateful. Never get
Word
tired.
up.
That's crazy how songs can take you literally to the exact moment you were when you had like that moment with the song. Like, it's,
Yeah. That's music. That's what happens, right?
No doubt. Well, I have one more question.
Okay.
The theme song for We Bear Bears, right? So you writing,
Yeah.
you know, from Estelle's version, but then
Yeah.
you're also now working
that
in
world.
a different medium and
Yeah.
writing from other spaces and other voices and stuff
Yeah.
like that. How do you find your artistic voice writing songs like that?
On my off days, I watch TV. I watch shows, and I get sucked into a show because of the theme song. One of my favorite is the theme song for Shameless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the theme song for Shameless and the theme song for Frankie and Grace.
Right.
Those are my two current favorite theme
Hey, you
songs.
could be there
You-
once before,
You know what I mean?
but it ain't
You
like
know
that anymore. Yeah,
Right,
that feels
right.
like a Welcome Back Carter or Chico and the Man, like a classic.
It feels like something what's their name? Madness would have done in the 80s. You know what I mean? Oh, it's not like that
Yeah.
anymore.
It's such
And
a
it's
great
just
show, too.
it's to me it's the dopest thing. Like, and you catch shows. For me, I catch shows with their theme songs. So after even just doing Steven Universe stuff and listening to the simplicity of how Rebecca Sugar, who made the show, writes her songs. She writes the songs, and I don't write these records on Steven Universe. I just do them, right? I do the ones they ask me to do. And I learn from all of that. I'm like, man, it's so simple. And these kids and these young people go crazy. How can I learn? You know, and so I got the shot to do Be We Bear Bears, and I was like, let me take all the things I've learned.
Right.
Let me call my friend who's also a hip hop producer, Ivan Bryce, who's part of the group Carvin and Ivan, and who produced for like so many different legendary R&B acts and pop acts. But I called Ivan and I said, hey, I need a beat and I need it to be mad catchy. Just give me 8 bars of mad catchy, right? And he was like, bet. And then gave me that. And I was like, and then just give me like a 4-bar rise. I'll just dictate to him what we needed. And then I sat there and I was just like, let me just get out of my head and let me just
Get out of
vibes.
your head.
Get out of my head.
Right.
And just see what comes through. I was like, and I came up with 3 or 4, but that one felt good. And then after at that point, it was like, well, that feels good. And I wanted to make it feel like we'll be around, because the bears are kind of like the neighborhood bears, right? So we'll be around, we'll be there, I'll be there, whatever, we'll be there, And I think we did good. I was nervous they wouldn't like it. That was my first attempt or first shot at that, and I'm just grateful. I think we hit it. We got it
I think you
right.
did too.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
That was it.
Because you always remember like your favorite kids shows songs like Estelle by Ginger. Someone watched town, man, on the grass, was like green.
You just wanted an excuse to sing it.
I did. I'm just kidding. I really love that one.
You remember like the theme song for Happy Days?
Yes,
The
Monday,
theme
Sundays,
song.
Mondays.
Happy Days.
Right.
Is that
Them
what
things they raised us.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it like it's a whole new genre of kids and a whole new what's the word? A whole new generation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at the whole TGIF Friday.
Yeah.
We know every single one of the, I don't know
You know
if
the
you guys
Proud
did
Family
TGIF.
theme song. You know
Family.
Taina. Like Moesha. You know
Cousin Skeeter.
all of them.
Yeah.
Y'all skewing a little young for me.
Oh, I know. I saw you lose your
I'm we're in the same general.
I saw you lose that. You were like,
But even though
Days, I
look, then
knew.
you got He-Man.
Yeah, Happy Days, I'm down.
No,
But
we
it's
got
like,
we
wait a
got
minute.
He-Man, you said?
He-Man, She-Ra, like
And the
DuckTales.
Masters of the Universe.
Exactly, DuckTales. Ooh.
the Jeffersons. There you
Right.
go.
Right, right.
Yeah, and
That's
even-
classic, though.
Right,
I
and
played that in the
Different
club.
those right,
Like, I played Jeffersons in the club.
and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Facts of Life.
Good times.
Good
I'm
times.
trying to tell you, those are the shows that you remember because of the theme songs. And so like it's always in the back of my brain. I spent a lot of time on my own. As I was surrounded by kids, but just very on my own. And music
9
was
children
9 of us,
in the family,
Yeah.
right?
Oh wow, where do you
It's
fall?
just me, second oldest girl.
Me too.
There you go.
You ever seen the TV show 8 is Enough? They was like, no, 8 is not enough.
No,
We
my
need
mom was like, 9, go for one more. You can do this. And then she was like, I'm done.
Powerful vagina.
But like I spent a lot of time on my own, and that's TV. That's my thing. Like I go into it.
We was raised on that.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Estelle.
This is so
Darlings.
much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was great.